So, I received something really interesting in the mail today. I wonder what this could be. Well, we're about to unbox it now. So, let's have a look. Okay, big shout out to Man-Made Cycle for sending this to me. Really appreciate you guys. Got some packaging, a lot of packaging. Wow, bloody hellfire, that's massive. Okay, let me just open this one. All right, definitely well packaged. Might leave this in as ASMR or something. Okay, so we have the Mac Studio. All right, let's take it out of this. Okay, here we go. Time to reveal. I'll do it like this. The Mac Studio, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. That's brilliant. Look at this bad boy. Look at that. So you can see some pretty decent ports here. Let's have a quick look at these ports, shall we? Now, we're looking at 4 Thunderbolt 4, I believe, ports here. We have one, I think that's 10 gigabit Ethernet. That's the power cable, obviously. 2 normal USBs. That will actually come in handy for me because I use a lot of USB-based stuff. HDMI port, obviously. Headphone jack at the back for some reason. And the famous power button, which is not on the bottom because it's a Mac Studio. Great! And what was in here? Let's have a quick gaze. Probably the power cable. And yes, it is. Ooh, we got a black one. I do like that. Cool. So, now that we have this, let's set it up and see how it works. You join me with the Mac Studio. Not this one, unfortunately. But we have an M1 Max here with 32 gigs of RAM. And let's see how it performs, all right? Compared to, the other stuff that we try and test out. Shout out to the guys at Man-Made Cycle. You guys are absolute OGs. I really appreciate you guys helping out the channel and sending me some computers to test out. And if anyone else is interested in doing so, then please do reach out. You find all the contact details in my bio of my YouTube channel. I'm really excited for this. I mean, they got some really good items here, actually. We can just have a quick look. And some really good deals as well. Like if you are in Australia, for instance, if you go to the MacBook Pro here, I think I saw a really good one before. Yeah, look, M1 Pro, right? 14 inch. With 16 gigs, $18.99. I mean, I think that's a good price, right? And it's a very good MacBook Pro. Even the latest one here with the M chip, with the M3 MacBook Pro, 8 gigs of RAM, but $17.99, good price. All right, so what are we looking at here? Well, because we have 32 gigs of RAM, we can play around with a lot more stuff, right? So now that we can play around with a lot more stuff, let's see what we can actually do. So as you can see, I've got a bunch of models here that I have been testing out and trying, from anything low as 1 billion to, MOE based models. I've never played with MOE models before, and it was a great experience. If you don't know what MOE models are, they stand for Mixture of Experts, which essentially mean that although it is 30.5 billion parameters in size, it only uses 3 billion tokens per response, which is really interesting. Let's compare it to Mistral, say, for example, right? So Mistral 3.1 is 24 billion parameters in size, okay? So if we say, hi, how are you today? Okay, you'll see that it will respond. Obviously, it will respond, but it's going to take some time and it's going to do some incredible things in the background. But it's using all of the weights to actually render the response, right? Or to infer the response. And it results in a response time of 13.25 seconds per token. If we change this to a MOE model, for instance, and I hit regenerate on this, you'll see the difference straight away, because although it does think before it responds, it does actually respond a lot faster because, as I said, it is using only 3 billion parameters per response. So you can see that 30 billion parameter model is now responding at 45 tokens per second. That is a crazy difference, right? So the level of efficiency and scalability for Mixture of Experts models is par excellence, bar none, really. Yeah, there's no real alternative to MOE models, and they are the most efficient ones to use, and they're larger in size. I mean, this is 30 billion parameter models, and I'm running that on a Mac Studio with 32 gigs of RAM. So it's definitely doable. Incredible efficiency and scalability possibilities here with MOE models. In particular, we are testing the new Quen 3. We can actually show you that here. Let's see here, Quen 3. It's a fantastic set of models. I mean, honestly, even the denser ones that are not Mixture of Experts, they are still good, man. They are fantastic, I'm telling you. I have used 235 billion on OpenRouter, and it is very good as well, especially at coding. I think it's very good at coding. Maybe not so much when using agentic tools, but we'll get to that later on in the video because I really do want to talk about that. This is the model that I'm using here at the moment, and it's fantastic, man. It's really, really good. And you can see even on the benchmarks here, it's outperforming, right? It's outperforming itself, actually. But even the Quen 3 32 billion parameter model is, it's just a difference in arena hard of 2, really, if I zoom in a little bit there for you guys. Yeah, the difference is really of 2. And not, I mean, yes, of course, the companies, yes, but it's also the developers that are fine-tuning it for us and quantizing them so we can run them on lower power resourceful computers. I really, really, really want to thank you guys for doing that. Really appreciate you. MOE models are awesome. And overall, I think the Mac Studio, like, compared to a MacBook Air M2, 8 gigs of RAM, which is what I was using before, with 256 gig SSD, I think alone, just having a 512 gig SSD alone is enough, right? I've got like literally the perfect amount of models right now, and I can download so many more, and I've still got 304 gigs of storage left, right? So I think, realistically speaking, you don't really need to upgrade the storage unless you really need more. Right? If you're like seriously video editing and doing all that kind of stuff, then yeah, that's fine. I do have an external hard drive, which I do edit my videos on. But again, I'm happy to just edit my videos and then delete the raw footage once it's been exported, and then just keep that instead. I do understand some people like to repurpose content and do that kind of thing and use it for B-roll. So if you need the storage, you need the storage. But and from an AI developer's perspective, I don't really think it's necessary to upgrade the storage. What would be necessary, however, is to perhaps upgrade the RAM, okay? And that brings me on to coding, right? So when you're doing applications or use cases with offline AI models, right? Not many people are talking about this on YouTube, I found. So hopefully I'll be one of the first ones to bring this point up. Now, here's a very simple Python script that's using browser use, okay? Using this Python package here. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to control your browser using AI and do things with it, right? Like add things to cart or book flights, right? And do those kinds of things. Now, I'm using Mistral 3.1, okay? Because it is the most intelligent model that fits on a single GPU or a single 32 gig of RAM MacBook Air, Pro, or Mini, or Studio, okay? And we're giving it a context window of 32,000, all right? Now we're gonna see how this performs. We're asking it to go to webjet.com.au and search for flights from Sydney to Melbourne, and the dates are such. That's the first thing. Let's see if we can do it. All right, we have opened the page. Yeah, again, we're not going for speed here, guys, because we know that, yes, I only have 32 gigs of RAM in this machine, right? And we're already using 28 gigs. So there's only 4 gigs left really to run the whole system. So it's not really viable, right? This is the point I was getting at. If you are considering to purchase a Mac Studio, Mac Mini, or any kind of Mac to do AI or LLM inferencing, I would highly recommend you go for the 64 gig of RAM and don't worry about upgrading the storage, okay? You can always get external storage from somewhere else. You can always get cloud. Like, that's not really a major concern. That's easily upgradable is what I'm trying to say. The RAM, on the other hand, is not, right? Because you cannot upgrade the RAM whatsoever because it's actually soldered onto the motherboard, right? It's unified memory, so it's attached. You can't upgrade it after you purchase it. If you are going to get a Mac computer specifically for AI, LLM inferencing, right, and development purposes, it is definitely recommended by me after thorough testing for a few days to consider getting a 64 gig or more of RAM. Definitely. And you can see the results here for yourself. So it's still stuck on step 1, right? It's just loading everything one at a time, and it's just trying to do the things that it's trying to do. And if you're focused on speed, then obviously, like, this is not really ideal, right? But if you're happy just to leave this, go do this on its own. And I mean, look, I can still, while this is happening, I can still use my computer. I can open up like multiple tabs. This is just a crazy machine overall, okay? But that's not the point. The point is that it's because of the deficiency of RAM in this case for the specific task that's we've tasked it to do, it's not able to perform it at optimal speeds. In plain English, what I'm saying is 32 gigs of RAM is too slow, right? We need at least 64 plus to do what we need to do when it comes to developing with AI. And the same applies to coding as well. So I'm just going to completely close that because we don't really have time. I'm not even going to waste your time doing that. 1 second, guys. Restart time. All the Hindus out there. Okay. So that was all right. But I want to show you really where you can see how this doesn't operate as well as you want it to. And what we're looking at here is called Cline. Now, Cline is an open source, completely free. Well, actually, I'm not sure if it's open source, to be honest. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's open source and has an Apache 2.0 license. So this is basically Windsurf, Ada, all that kind of stuff built into one, and you can do some really cool stuff with it. We're going to try it out using offline AI. All right. So as you can see, we're going to let's use Mistral. Okay. Again. All right. And we're going to save. Just double checking that. Planning and okay. So Not using Anthropic, we're going to use Mistral again. Okay, cool. And I'm going to go act. I'm not going to go plan this time because we don't need to plan anything. And I'm just going to say, create a new Python file that can calculate million numbers. Sure, let's do that. That's the task that it's given it. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to quickly set up Ada on this side. Now we have this here. And as you can see, Mistral is still doing its thing and using 26.86 gigs of memory at the moment. It still really hasn't done anything, right? And the reason for that is because there's so much that's actually happening besides my request, okay? My request is nothing in comparison to what's actually happening behind the scenes. As you can see, again, for like, agentic or like, actual AI specific use cases, I think the 32 gigs of RAM is definitely not ideal, okay? Especially for developers. However, for everything else, it's absolutely fine. For chats, emails, for writing content, automating that kind of stuff is absolutely all good to go. So you can see here, if I go to my hosted version of Active Pieces, see I have an automation workflow here that's being used. And this is posting to my LinkedIn directly. And this has gotten me like more than 7,000 impressions in the past 3-4 days, just by posting this type of content alone. So what this does is that as soon as it finds a news item and an RSS feed, which is basically a Google News story, which is set up by alerts. If you don't know how to do that, maybe I'll create a new separate video for this. And then we delay that for a while, and then we send a HTTP request. And this one I'm going to show you here. So this is actually using the LLMs directly from the studio. And every day, it's going to be sending out content using the Gemma 3 model. And it's going to be posting content specifically about the news articles that it finds, which is really, really cool. And actually, I just realized I need to add a image. Okay, that's such a shame. That's all right. Yeah, cool. There's one use case that you can utilize this for, and it's 100% fine for that. Again, Mac Studio 32 gigs of RAM, absolutely fine for text-based automation and text-based chats. And even audio, right, is all good. But images and code using agentic tools like this, honestly, it's not really ideal. Now, I know you guys need to join my school. That's pretty obvious, right? But why don't you make your own as well? If you look at the figures here, right, they speak for themselves. Let's look at the calligraphy school. This is at $9 a month, 1,200 members. So 1,200 multiplied by $9, $10,800 a month is being generated to learn calligraphy. Do I really have to say any more? Look at this one. 0 to founder, 982 members, and it is $119 a month. This guy is making $116,858 from his online community. We can do the same. And when I say we, you are also included in that too. So don't wait any longer. Definitely check out the link in the description and have a community today. You don't have to have a paid community. As you can see, my man Liam Otley here, he recently just reached out to me on LinkedIn as well. So shout out to you, my man. He has a free community, right? He's got 160,000 members in that community. But in that community, there'll be a lot of people that will be interested in learning further and going down, and then you kind of funnel it that way. That's pretty much what Liam does. Everyone else gets free value regardless. So it's brilliant. And for me, I'm doing that on YouTube. So for me, my YouTube community section on my channel is definitely the place where I'm going to be providing all the free value. And then I want people to sign up to my school for those serious people that are really interested in, one, making genuine money, right, for selling products in the AI space that are actually worth selling, in my opinion. And second of all, those people that want to dive really deep into how all this AI systems work and how they can understand it to a point where they can start replicating it for other businesses is the reason why you should join my school. But if you are not into AI at all, you're into anime, for example, right? You're into cycling, you're into watches, you're into, I don't know, you're into a society of putting pieces of paper together, right? You can create whatever you want on Skool. Your imagination is truly your only limitation. I say that a lot in my videos now, but it really makes sense when you look at it like this. And I know you're seeing this going, oh, but this is just the first page here. What about the 34th page? Let's have a look. 34th page. All right. This is something more realistic. 74 members, $65 a month. All right. So 74, making $4,800. It's not even in English. Is that German? Looks like it's German. All right. So there's really no excuse here. Even if on the 34th page, she's not ranked 991 globally, and she can still generate 74 members, I think that's pretty well done to her, and definitely good luck to you, right? At Driven Minds, for instance, 3,300 members here, ranked 993. It doesn't really matter. And as you can see, there's only 30 4 pages of schools. We're still so early. There needs to be more schools out there in the world, so that we can start connecting with people that we actually want to connect with, right? People go to these in-person events all the time, looking for like-minded people to have conversations with and potentially collaborate with, right? And that's what essentially online communities used to be, in the form of Discords and Facebook groups and everything. Now it's being switched over to paid communities. People are actually willing to pay you to learn from what you know, and Skool gives you that opportunity to do that. So if you are interested, the link is in the description below. Definitely do check it out. It will be in my link tree as always. All the resources and all the links that I mentioned in all my videos are always going to be in one place, which will be in Linktree. So definitely go check it out there. Definitely consider creating your own school. Back to the video. I mean, this is not even doing anything, so I'm just going to stop that, right? And I'm just going to go create. I'm going to switch this to architect mode because Cline is just not even working properly with Ollama. So if we go architect, what architect mode does with Ada, as you can see here, we're using the main model as Quen mixture of experts. We're going to use this to think about and plan how we're going to do it. And then we're going to use Claude to actually write the code. You'll see why I'm doing it this way, because it's actually a beautiful harmony, right? So what we do is create a new Python file that can calculate 1,000,000 numbers, okay? So now what this is doing is instead of sending it directly to Anthropic, right? So then Anthropic has to plan out everything right from scratch, which uses up tokens, which uses up more costs, which actually ends up costing more, obviously. With this method, you can use an offline AI model. In this case, I'm using Quen 3 MLE to do the planning for you and then send that to Anthropic so it knows exactly what to do. And then it just goes ahead and writes it, right? I think this is going to be a match made in heaven, but I might be speaking too soon. So let's see. As you can see, I have to talk a lot. I have to ramble on a little bit because it is taking some time to load. If I had 64 gigs of RAM, this wouldn't be an issue. If anyone has a Mac Studio with 64 gigs of RAM they'd like me to test out, please do send it my way. I would appreciate that. You find the contact details in my YouTube bio, and you'll find it on my link tree as well, which is just linktree/atech. I'm not gonna cut this. Yeah, so this is genuinely taking some time. It's that's wild. Yeah, I mean, okay, look, from my perspective, for my daily use case and purposes, because I will be using the Mac Studio M2 Max from next week, and I'll be using that pretty much on a full-time basis for a little while. You know, I think I will be very happy to use the Mac Studio, right? And now that it's loaded, as you can see, this is the MOE model working out here. And now we've got Anthropic writing it out, right? So that's how efficient you can be. Obviously, in this case, the MOE model could write this out, no problem at all. But if you had a more complex code, if you wanted to do like more complex website or something like that, or a complex software, you can use Quen 3 or any offline AI model to plan out what you're going to do, and then use an online AI model to actually develop it, which I think works out perfectly fine in this case. So let's see if this works. Calculate million pi. Before we do this, I'm going to bring up the CPU cores. All right, so we can see that. 3, 2, 1. Let's have a look. Calculation completed in 5 seconds. You're joking. 5 seconds. I mean, that's just not enough. All right, let's do that again. Okay, here we go. All right, now we're focusing on the cores. There we go. Trying to slow this baby down, man. Okay, look at that. Using 6 cores right now, but 2 cores are going crazy. Look at the temps right now. Let's look at the temps. Feels all right. Doesn't feel too bad. Doesn't feel too bad. The front is very, very cold. It's ice cold, actually. And I am in regional Queensland, so it's quite hot all the time. Interesting. Okay, so it's calculating it, man. That's really cool. I like that. But it's not slowing it down. I mean, I'm still able to access stuff. Like, that's not bad, man. I mean, how much should we be using right now? So we're using, 27. Oh, man. Okay, so that's taking some time. Okay, just gonna close that one. All right, cool. So that was a fun test. It's a fun little test. I'm pretty happy with this system. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think this is gonna be absolutely fine. And I also want to bring up the topic of video editing because I didn't record this, but I'll quickly show you. All right, we're now loading in directly from the SSD, but look at that. Look at this loading speeds, man. This is just ridiculous. I can see why people use an M1 Mac Studio to do their video editing. I can really see why they do that, to be honest. I can genuinely see that. I mean, this is 3 hours worth of footage and I'm scrubbing through this like it's absolutely nothing, okay? So yes, in terms of editing and exporting, Mac Studios are, they are literally in a class of their own. I have seen people and spoken with other companies who are professional video editors. They have content creation departments and they use Mac Studios simply because it's really the only devices in the market that are the most reliable when it comes to video editing. And I'm just using CapCut here, okay? Like, if you use like something like DaVinci or Premiere Pro or what is a Final Cut Pro or something like that, man, it's going to be absolutely fine. Even on 32 gigs of RAM, you'll be sweet, right? So for content editing, right? And for audio, like for audio-based creations, if you want to generate audio, we can definitely do that. Audio generation is fine, but yeah, video, images, and agentic-based coding, not so much, okay? And you can really see the difference here for yourself. So for instance, okay, so if I say to this now, exactly the same thing, okay, you'll see the difference. And the difference is because in this case, in the chat case, it's only reading this request, okay? When you put it through a code agent. Behind the scenes, there are other prompts or other instructions that are being sent to the LLM, right? To ensure that it produces the exact thing that we want, right? Most of the time, this is not the most accurate way to ask AI to do coding-based projects for us, okay? So that's why behind the scenes, they have these prompts or instructions built in that we are actually not aware of that get sent to the LLM, right? Which actually loads more context and adds more tokens onto it, which thus slows the whole experience down in an offline sense. So if you do have but based off my findings, it's roughly around 27 to 28 gigs of memory being used, even with a 32 billion parameter model with Ollama, right? And Ada. So what I'm saying is exactly what I said 5 minutes ago, okay? You need to use 64 gigs of RAM at minimum in order to get the most out of developing or using agentic-based AI tools and software offline, right? Literally simple as that. 64 gigs of RAM minimum. Higher, great. You'll be absolutely fine. Like you really will. Even on a Mac Mini. I think on a Mac Mini, 64 gigs of RAM, you'll be absolutely fine. 32 billion parameter models for agentic and software development purposes, you'll be sweet, right? You'll be all good. If you want to run the 70 bill and higher, you can run 70 bill on a 64 gig, that's fine. But yeah, what I found is like, I think I'm going to go with probably the ratio of, for example, it's 32 billion, right? You should have at least double the RAM. So if you want to run a 70 bill model properly, you need to have double the RAM. How do we actually have a look at that? So let's go to Llama 3.3, which is 70 billion, okay? That's 43 gigs of VRAM, right? So I would have at least 96 gigs of RAM, all right? To be able to run this efficiently. When it comes to Macs, for instance, I'd have at least 96 gigs, roughly. I mean, yes, you can quantize them and you can do this, that, and the other, but what I actually discovered today is that Ada, right? And we see here that if I zoom in here, be especially careful about the Ollama context window when working with local models. It defaults to be very small and silently discards data if you exceed it, right? And local models which have been quantized are more likely to have editing problems because they are not capable enough to follow Ada's system prompts, okay? And that's the prompts that I was talking about that we don't actually get to see. So you can try doing these, different types of formatting to try and see if you can edit better. But for me, I think the architect mode is the best way to use it, at least to get started. If you want to see how it will work, so what we'll do is I'll just use Quen 3 only, yeah? Just using Quen 3 only. No, there you go. So now we're just using Quen to turn this into a ASCII image generator. And now we are using just Quen 3 to do it. And you can see the difference here. I mean, look, you can definitely do it. I'm not saying you can't, right? I'm not saying you can't do it just with offline AI. But because you are just limited to 32 gigs of VRAM, you will see what happens, okay? You will see what happens when it starts to spit out like large amounts of code. It starts to hang a little bit and it takes a little bit longer. But yeah, I think purely for planning purposes, I think it's absolutely fine. Like if for doing short code like this is good. It's just converted that. So let's see how it works. So we go Python 3, calculate 5. There you go. It has created that's nice. Make it generate a flower. For small scale tasks, it's absolutely fine. You can use offline AI models to make things happen quickly. However, if you are using a larger code base, it does become a little bit of an issue, okay? So I just want you to keep that in mind when you are using these kind of tools for agentic purposes. As you can see, to write 34 lines of code is totally fine. It can do it, but let's see if it can generate a flower. It's not really a flower, it's a diamond, but that's fine. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so cool. So now it's, and the commits are quite long, but that's fine. I mean, okay, let's turn this into a CRM system with a JSON file acting as the DB. There you go. Okay, let's see if we can do something more complex then. I'm curious now. because it is, as I said, the MOE model is actually kind of my favorite now, to be honest with you. It performs really well. It's really good for conversational tasks. It's really good for any kind of task, really. And because it's a reasoning model, the answers it provides is extremely accurate because it really reasons with itself. Like, I mean, seriously reasons with itself. It's beautiful. Yeah, man.
I just sent you a photo. Do you want this? It's like pretty cool, babe. Like it's got all like.
Yes.
I know. Okay.
Yes. Do not sell that. Do not sell that.
No. That's so weird. This was, initially I saw it and I thought of you. Like, it's like got even the filming, the camera stuff, like from the engine.
Brilliant.
I'll see you next time. Love you too.
No, but okay, so it's actually created something here. I'm quite curious. Okay, I mean, I'm quite curious. I'm a very curious creature. I don't like the way it names the names, but whatever. I'm going to use 3.10 for this just in case. Oh, okay. So I have a CRM. No way. Offline AI just built me a CRM, guys. Did you see that? Look at that. It's fully responsive as well. Interesting. Okay, so how do I clear the name search? I'm just going to delete that contact. Interesting. So if I go james@james.com.au for James, why not for cool. And then he's from James Limited because that's the thing. Cool. And I'm going to update this contact actually. Yeah. Oh, you bastard. Okay. It's a little bit finicky. Can I just delete all these contacts? Just going to delete all these contacts. Okay. If we go add contact here, what happens to be fascinating. Okay. Add contact. That's so cool. And we did that using JSON. That's really cool. I love how we can do that. And then we can turn this into an MCP server. Woo! I like the sound of that. Okay, all right, let's do that. All right, ladies and gents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're turning this into an MCP server. Yes, this is going to be fun. All right, what we need to do then is probably feed it some information about an MCP, I would say. Yeah, okay. I'm going to get rid of that stuff because we don't need that nonsense anymore. Don't want it to get confused. Okay, and I want a mcp.md file, and I would like Ada to read this only. There you go. Cool, sweet. So now with the mcp.md, we want some code that can tell us how to do the fast MCP stuff. So fast MCP. You don't know what fast MCP is? It's the best way to create your own MCPs. Yeah, it's really, really simple. So what you can do here. Cool. All right, cool. Make another hyphen, which will be an MCP server that you can use. Excellent. So now we're telling it to do this, and let's see what happens. I'm pretty excited for this, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty excited for this. Okay, it's done. I'm pretty excited to see this. Python 3.11. I'll do CP. Oh, yeah. So I need to install that probably. Yeah. Sick. 3.11-m. Oh, yes. I do probably need to add. It did it. Wow. That's cool. What happened there? I'm going to give that straight to. All right, let's see what it's doing. It's trying to read what's going on, trying to understand the context of everything. It's going to provide us with all the information. Now, again, the brilliant thing is that because it does work with just 3 billion tokens, right? It activates only 3 billion tokens per response. Yes, it takes time to to kind of load the response. Once it starts going, it's off to the races, right? As we can clearly see, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. As a matter of fact, I guess you do have that advantage of having the full 30 billion parameters to deal with, but then only using 3 billion at a time to kind of generate the responses. So you have the full level of intelligence there, but you've also got the efficiency of speed as required, as you can see here. Very fascinating. And there you go. That's 3 billion parameters just going off to the races right now. It's quite amazing to see, actually. Okay, well, it has applied the edit, so we can actually test it out. We don't have to wait for the commit. Yeah. So I'm going to have to look at my old code. Just give me 1 second, ladies and gents. Load up the old MacBook Air M2. Might trade this in and get an M3 soon. Let's close that. Updated the prompt. Do that. And now go back to here and go on that so we can reset its brain type of thing. And we don't need this nonsense, so we go back up. Oh yeah, we should probably delete. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to check what it's made here. API, the contacts. Yep, so yeah, that's fine. I know exactly what it's done. There's no API. It's the JSON file, remember. Once it's done this, then we are good to go. I'm absolutely amazed. Quen 3 MOE 30 bill is fantastic, to be honest. I reckon that's going to work. I think just by reading the code, I think that's going to be fine. Let's see if I'm correct. Okay, just work, but okay. Maybe we need to do the UVX thing. Yeah. UVX MCP. If we do UVX MCPO, we'll do the port, and then we go server.py. Is that it? There you go. Now we're running. Okay, cool. Now I've connected this up to my tools here. So we go tools, and we just go, please verify the connection is successful. Perfect. Now I have this tool connected here. And if I go to here, I have a whole CRM server. Perfect. So let me just have this side by side here. So, and we'll have the JSON DB open. So we can see the side by side. All right. So let's see if it works. Now let's ask a smaller model. First of all, let's see. Let's use Gemma. Okay. Who's in my CRM right now? Let's have a look. Wow. It actually worked. Look at that. Okay. Delete Hamish. Update Hamish. Update the email of Hamish to be test@testing.com. Okay, because the phone field is missing. Interesting. Okay, so that's cool. That's interesting. So the reason why that happened is because I wanted to update one thing about the contact, but it needed to update everything. That's why I did that. So that's cool. We need to change that. But I think that's working absolutely fine. What do you guys think? I think that's working great. So if we go back to here and I say it's working well. However, when I want to update a specific parameters about the contact, i.e. phone number or email only, it results in this error. Perfect. Again, we're using offline AI to do this, man. This is pretty crazy right now, you know. And we're using an MOE model again, as I said. Shout out to Quen, who has released this amazing model. And pretty excited for this, man. I really am excited. Perfect. Just a simple little update like that. We're pretty much good to go. I mean, all right, man. I think, you know what? I did say at the beginning of this video that offline AI is not really good on for agentic-based tools and solutions using a Mac Studio 32 gig, but I might have to redact and take that statement back, because using a mixture of experts model like this, it really does help and it really does work as well. Yeah. I mean, I think it's intelligent enough that it can do the code, right? It knows what, you know, most programming languages are. It knows, like, you know, how to do most things. And if you need to provide it with additional context, you just give it a markdown file and you add it as a read only, and then you're away. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm pretty interested in that now. So let's do that again. Cool. Let's give it a quick refresh just in case and pop that back in. Okay. Let's see. We're going to look at this line here. It's going to change. Really taking his time. Come on. Sounds like Timothy. It should be okay here, but it's not. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, I'm just going to start a new chat. So use the search. Okay, hang on, man. Let's start a new chat here. I'm just go. That's fine. I'm happy to provide the ID. That's okay. And if I don't know the ID, we can just ask it to find the ID. So I think that's usable enough. Like, I think, and naturally you can just keep refining this and keep enhancing it. But okay, see what's saying that. It's actually saying that it updated it successfully. It updated on 1. Okay. I think I know what's going on here, because there's 0, 1s, and 2s are happening here. So update to what happened here. Okay, search for all contacts. I want to see if it can fix it itself without changing the code, because I reckon it can. Okay, because we wanted it to update specific things, now it's asking if you want to search for a specific contact. Fair enough, but it says the contact field is required. That's so stupid. I'm just going to send this chat. I'm going to actually categorically state, guys, that the Quen 3 30 billion MOE with 3 billion activated is the perfect model for the Mac Studio M1 Max 32 gig, or just any Mac with 32 gigs. I think is absolutely sublime, right? I'm just experiencing this, and yes, I know it takes a little bit of time to do this, that, the other. I get that, okay? I understand that, right? If I can save money and just spend a little bit more time getting the AI to do everything for me anyway, I think that's okay. I think that is a good trade-off. To be very honest, I think it's a very good trade-off. Yeah. Damn, man. The thing is, like, these MOE models are going to get even more efficient. Yeah. Okay, cool. All contacts first with their IDs. Oh, imagine having a 32 billion parameter model, but it's an MOE and it activates 1 billion tokens. Oh, that would be super fast, man. No. From a CRM, yeah. At least the model's warmed up now, so it should be okay. Maybe not. Hello? Okay, perfect. So it's grabbed that. Excellent. Cool. Can you update Hamish's email to be test@testing.com, because we can see here it actually did update John's accidentally to testing, but I want to see if we can just do it for me now that it knows what the ID is. Should be okay. You know, it did it. I didn't see it live, but I'll see it in the edit. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, great. And Hamish's phone number is updated in the CRM. Yeah, that's fine. Look, it's a 12 billion parameter model. Like, you know, again, it's gonna struggle a little bit to do this, but the fact that it's using an MCP most of the time is not too bad. It's really not too bad. Okay, just gonna try that, because I had some other characters in there, so it may be confused. I know if we use an online AI model, it would be absolutely fine to do this. We already know that. Oh yeah, cool. So it did the get contacts. Yep. Nice. Replace it now. I saw it do something. I don't know what it's done though. Okay, whatever. Create any contact. Sally Davis. Email is sally@sally.com, and phone is okay. A few people on the channel as well are having some issues with how they're calling their servers, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm using MCPO, okay? And I explained this to you in the previous video as well. Quickly just have a look at this. This is how you use it, okay? And I will link this in the description of this video as well, so you guys can really find out for yourselves how to use this. And if you have a SSE, right, which is a server sent endpoint or something like that, what you can do is use something like active pieces, okay, and go to MCP here, and you can actually have your MCP URL right here. You can just copy that bad boy and then paste that into here, right, and then your tools are activated, okay? So this is really the function that you need, or the command that you need to know, okay? And if you know what you're doing here, then you'll be absolutely fine. I promise you on that. I really, really promise you on that. Okay, so this is still going. And if you want to create your own MCP servers directly, then you need to use something called fast MCP, because it is literally the fastest way to do it. Like, you know, this is really all you need. If you want to add a tool, that's a tool. If you want to add a resource, then that's how you add a resource. And that's really all you need to know. And then you can create stuff like this. You can have a look at my server.py that's created here. Nice. It's all really just Python at the end of the day. And we're just wrapping the functions with this MCP tool call. That's literally that simple. Yeah, I know I'm laughing, but it really is that simple. Okay, so let me just do this. Gonna refresh that. I don't know what happened there. I really don't. Resulted in an error. Company field is required. Okay, so that's fine. Company is Sally Limited. Could you please... I'm unable to create the contact for Sally Davis. The system indicates a required field is missing. Specifically, the name field is required. The name Sally Davis. Bloody hell, that's ridiculous. Could create it with no problems now. Yeah, no, you haven't done anything, mate. I'm gonna actually increase to a more intelligent model. I'm gonna go for Mistral. Now, Mistral, if people don't know about Mistral's really good. They have this thing called Le Chat. I have no idea what that says, but that's fine. Yeah, so it's really good, and it does some really good stuff with coding as well. And yeah, it's really, really good overall. Actually, to be honest, I don't have the capability to create. Excuse me, that is ridiculous. Let me just drop MCP because we don't need it. And let me also just clear. Yeah, editing team's gonna have a fucking fun time with this. All right, so have a look. Doing completely offline, ladies and gents. I'm having a pretty fun time, to be honest with you. Ooh. Okay, we got our first issue with the LLM did not conform to the edit format. Okay, it's gonna have to do it again. So this is where I was actually running into issues yesterday. That's why I initially said that this is gonna be not ideal, right? But it is performing a lot better today, and it's ran into its first issue. So let's see how it's going to combat this. I mean, look, you better be sorry, right? I mean, nah, you're doing a good job, Quen. You're doing a fantastic job. You really are doing a great job. Okay, so the edit was applied at least. That's fine. Let's do it again. All right. Quickly. Okay, I'm just going to press regenerate on that. It should be all right. Oh, yeah, we're using all these models while we have this open. Oh, my God. I mean, you can see there, right? I just completely forgot that we had CapCut even open. So we should close that immediately, and now we get some RAM back. Yeah, so I had 3 hours worth of footage open as well, and it was just still managing to handle all these LLM calls absolutely fine. So you can really see the potential here, right? So apparently it's done it. Let's see. No, it hasn't done anything. Yeah, updating contact. Specific system software using. Mate, I'm using my own bloody software. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so look, the MCP does work. We're running into a few issues, but at least the MCP itself works. It can actually call stuff and do things. So yeah, if you want to learn how to make your own MCP servers, then yeah, I've made a previous video on that. It is a bit fast paced, but if you want a more slowed down version, let me know. But I think you guys get the idea, really. Like, honestly, this is amazing. I'm doing this on a Mac Studio, 32 gigs of RAM, and this retails at the moment, you can get a second hand for $2,749, right? Which is really the bargain of the century in my eyes. Does exactly what it says on the tin in terms of AI inferencing. We're using ADA and coding-based agents-based tools and solutions. In fact, let's just have a quick look and see how this is going to perform on Quen 3. See how this is going to perform using this. So we go, yep, 3.1. Cool. Okay, so when you're using an MOE model to do this kind of task, it's just using about, it's using about 25 gigs. Yeah. Let's see if it can perform the task here. And again, it's going to reason with itself before deciding what to do here. So it has gone to WebJet successfully. See that CPU-wise, it's not really using much. Oh, maybe it is. It's not too bad. Okay, so you can see we can list what it's doing here. But the task was to go to WebJet and find flights from Sydney to Melbourne, was it? Or something like that. Okay, so let's filled that out correctly. Your imagination is your only limitation. All right, so Do appreciate you guys watching the videos, and I appreciate all the love and support. I'm going to be getting a lot more computers on my hands, do a lot more testing on these offline AI models, and I'm really going to get to the bottom of what is the best, budget-friendly solution to run at least 32 to 70 billion parameter models with ease, and and some form of upgradability as well attached to it. All right, guys, stay tuned for that. As we review a lot of hardware on this channel, I needed someone to partner with who I can trust and really start showing people where to find quality to use AI in Australia. And I couldn't find anyone better than Man-Made Cycle. Not only can you purchase the latest and greatest stuff for literally the cheapest price possible, they also have these amazing trade-in values as well. So if you have a MacBook Pro, you can get up to $2,490 trade in. That's so much credit. I have a MacBook Air M2 and I can get up to $1,410 for it, which is amazing. Let's actually go through the calculation, shall we? So we go to the trade-in buyback program, and then we put in what our device is, and it's a MacBook Air M2 2023 15-inch. That's the one. Absolutely working. 256. It is only 8 gig, and it is excellent condition. Looks brand new, zero signs of use, and I do have a charger with it. I don't have the box, unfortunately. Wow, I can get $1,000 for that. If I look on eBay and I go MacBook Air M2 8 gig 256, it's literally around market price. So I think that's pretty fair. I can sell it for a little bit more on eBay, but again, I can get the money instantly and I can trade it in and I can upgrade to a new machine directly through here. They also have the latest and greatest in Macs and MacBooks as well. Look at that. So they have a Mac Studio right now that you can purchase for $2,749 while stocks last. Obviously, 1 unit is left. I would highly suggest someone grab this because it's a damn good price. They always have these kind of deals going. They'll always have this trade-in and save option as well, and a buyback program. So you can either trade it in and get credit, or you can get cash. Really good service, and they are based locally here in Australia as well. Same thing for iPads. I mean, iPad Pro, $1,300 straight away. Sometimes the kids just stop using the iPads, right? And you're just left with all of these tablets going, oh, what do I do with them? Do I just sell them? Oh, it'll take them forever to sell on eBay. Well, maybe you can just sell it directly here. It's a pretty good market value price, to be honest with you. For a place where you can just send the device and get cash back instantly, I think it's very good value. So if you're interested in this, definitely check out manmadecycle.com.au. Big shout out to them. Thank you so much for providing us some hardware in order for us to do some crazy stuff with AI.